Hey guys, this is Mrs. Pirtle, and I wanted to go over a couple of graphing inequalities example with you all for your homework. We've dealt with inequalities quite a bit so far in pre-algebra, but they have looked like this. And we know when we deal with inequalities, we're dealing with a whole set of solutions and not just one solution, like when we solve an equation and we end up with just one answer. When we solve an inequality, we have a whole range of answers. So in this case, for example, this inequality says that y is less than 2. So to represent that on a number line, we would need to graph the point 2 on a number line. And since we are using this symbol, the greater than or less than, then we know we need to use an open dot, since 2 is not part of our solution, but everything less than 2. So we would need to put an open dot on 2, and then we would need to shade everything that is less than 2. And of course, this goes on for infinity, but we only represent just a small part of our graph. But we would need to shade all things that are less than 2. Okay, so many of these same rules are going to apply when we graph an inequality in slope-intercept form. When we graph an inequality in slope-intercept form, we are going to graph it the exact same way that we graph an equation in slope-intercept form, meaning that we're going to first plot our y-intercept, and then we're going to use our slope to plot some other points on our line and then draw our line. But we have a couple of other steps. So for example, this inequality is y is less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 2. What I told you in class was that when we're using the greater or less than or equal to symbol, then we would use a solid line on our graph. But if our inequality uses the greater than or less than symbol without the little equal sign, then we use a dotted line. Okay, so this is going to be kind of similar to using an open dot and a closed dot. So for this inequality, I have graphed y is less than or equal to 1/2 x minus 2. Our y-intercept is positive 2, which is here. And then our slope tells us from there we would need to go up 1 over 2. So from our y-intercept, we would go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And then, since I'm using this symbol, I need to draw a solid line on my graph, which I've done. The last step would be to shade our graph, because our solutions are not going to be just along this line. They're going to be everything that is on this line or less than this line, okay? Because it's less than or equal to this whole line. So then I grab a different colored pencil or marker, whatever you want to use, and shade my graph. How do I know which area to shade? Well, I look at my symbol. And since this symbol is less than or equal to, then I shade below the line. So the rule is generally, if your inequality is less than, you're going to shade below your line. If your inequality is greater than, then you're going to shade above your line. Okay, and now this inequality, I have finished graphing it. I have my line and I've shaded my graph. So this is how you graph an inequality in slope-intercept form.